Greetings. R. Frederick Riddle here with another episode of Christian News and Views. This is episode 198, and this is Wednesday. And I've titled this Russia Still Killing Civilians. It's not the title that's in the paper here, but I think it fits it. But I'm not sure you can call this a war anymore. It had, from the very beginning, it had elements of genocide in it, but now it seems to be nothing more than genocide. Putin thinks that if he kills enough innocent people, that somehow that gives him the upper hand. In my opinion, he is playing with fire. But here's the latest news. And as you can see, I have here the newspaper, and I'm going to read some of the articles here from a portion of the one article, actually. So let's get going. Glide bombs and ballistic missiles struck a Ukrainian prison and a medical facility overnight as Russia's relentless strikes on civilian areas killed at least 27 people across the country, officials said Tuesday, despite U.S. President Donald Trump's threat to soon punish Russia with sanctions and tariffs unless it stops. We're going to move on down to here. Trump said Tuesday he is giving Russian President Vladimir Putin 10 days to stop the killing in Ukraine after 3 years of war, moving up a 50-day deadline he had given the Russian leader 2 weeks ago. The move meant Trump wants peace efforts to make progress by August 8th. Trump has repeatedly rebuked Putin for talking about ending the war but continuing to bombard Ukrainian civilians. But the Kremlin hasn't changed its tactics. I'm disappointed in President Putin, Trump said during a visit to Scotland. Here's another portion. The Kremlin pushed back with a top Putin lieutenant warning Trump against playing the ultimatum game with Russia. Russia isn't Israel or even Iran, former President Dmitry Medvedev, who is deputy head of the country's Security Council, wrote on social platform X. Each new ultimatum is a threat and a step towards war, not between Russia and Ukraine, but with his own country, Medvedev said. Let's see, another portion here. Ukrainian officials condemned the attack, saying that targeting civilian infrastructure such as prisons is a war crime under international conventions. Later on, it closes with this. Russian forces also struck a grocery store in a village in the northeastern Kharkiv region, police said, killing 5 and wounding 3 civilians. Authorities in the southern Kherson region reported 1 civilian killed and 3 wounded over the past 24 hours. This is just heartbreaking news. People, innocent people. Now, as far as I'm concerned, basically Ukraine is innocent. They may have some guilt on their side on maybe here or there, but nothing comparable to what the Kremlin's been doing. As I said at the beginning of this episode, Putin is playing with fire. He is making the same mistake that politicians had made with Trump. They underestimated him. They didn't understand him. How are you going to evaluate a person you don't even understand? He's playing with fire. Putin's reign is hanging by a thread. We don't get much information out of Russia, but everything I've ever seen is he's still hanging by a thread. And more than that, Russia itself is teetering. He has had to bring in troops from other countries, even from North Korea. He has constantly been sacrificing prisoners, men and I suppose women as well, who have been pushed to the front lines to fight this. They don't even call it a war. But he's just throwing life away. The life of his country people, his own people. He's just throwing them away. Not to mention all the equipment and everything he's lost. That the people he seems to have quite a supply of them, but that's even starting to shrink. And then you have the equipment, valuable equipment, military equipment that has been dried up and just destroyed. Is hanging. He and his government are hanging by a thread. With the window closing for avoiding a clash with the United States, he has little wiggle room. He knows he can't win a war against the United States, even if he's fighting just the United States. The United States can outpunch him any day of the week. We'd suffer. He might get a strike in here or there, but he would be gone. But if he attacks the United States, he also gets the nations of NATO. And they are not too far away, and they are equipped to attack him even quicker than we would be. They could attack him before, shortly after he launches his missiles. That could trigger them. And so one has to wonder if any of the Russian leaders that are around him have any backbone or desire to save their country. To be honest with you, it looks to me like they're drinking their own grape juice, their own wine, their own vodka, if you will. They're spilling all this stuff out, lies after lies after lies. They apparently believe their own lies. For the former president to say that, yeah, we're not like Iran. You're not going to push us around. Well, I think Iran right now might be stronger than Russia. Uh, Russia has shown itself to be something of a paper tiger. Yeah, they have control of the skies right now, but if we get involved, they lose that. Uh, it's almost a certainty that they would lose it. And their ability to strike deep with their drones and all that would probably evaporate rather quickly. So, like I said, they're drinking their own grape juice, their own poison, whatever it is. They aren't paying attention. They could get this, I don't like to see anybody die, but there's an old rule: if one person die to save a nation. Actually, that's what the Jewish council did, and they gave up Jesus to be crucified, one man to suffer in place of everybody. They had no idea what that meant, and and that's how we got our salvation. It's through the blood of Jesus Christ. But in a war, can also be true. And here you get rid of the leader, and the rest is going to fall apart. Putin is holding on. He's a cruel man. I don't know how about his sanity or anything like that. I've heard questions about it, and I've listened to people talk about him. But whether that's all true or not, you get rid of him, and that creates a vacuum. And Russian politics being what it is, it might take a little while for somebody to actually take charge. Let's assume for a moment that they overthrow Putin and somebody steps in. Well, the only way he is going to save his country is to reach out to the West. And I don't know that they have that mentality to do that, to admit defeat, to admit they have been the aggressor and need to back down. But that's what they have to do, because Europe is moving closer and closer to being fully involved. They see the threat. They know he's only a stepping stone away from their land. And and he's willing to go through a country like Ukraine and probably some he's got Poland there and so forth that he might think he can get through. I think Poland might give him a little bit of a battle, more so than even Ukraine. And so he's playing with fire, folks. And this is the kind of fire that once it's loosed, may be hard to put out. President Trump is not a man to mess around with. He is a man who he wants to be known as a peace man of peace, but he's not afraid to go to war if that's what it takes. And it's almost like playing chicken. The person who blinks first loses. Oh, I think Putin will be the one to blink first. We'll see. That is the news for the day. I always approach the news with the idea of informing you, uh, encouraging you, and inspiring you. I don't know if I did much in inspiring just now, but it does look serious. But if I was a betting man, I'm not, but if I was, I'd put my money on Trump. He's got a track record, and he knows what he wants to do. He knows what he wants to accomplish, and he has a pretty good idea what Putin can and cannot do. We have a good intelligence agency, or agencies, I should say. So we'll just have to wait and see on that. Hopefully you have enjoyed this, and if you do, please subscribe. When you do, it does encourage me. And so I just encourage you to do that, and I will see you in the next episode.